Hi, I'm Seamless, and today I want to talk about the whole Fine Brothers React thing, which I get that I'm late to the party because it's kind of already been resolved. They're essentially dropping their plans to do their whole thing, so never mind about that, but it does raise a couple of interesting ideas, and I do want to comment a bit on sort of like the quality of the backlash that showed up about it. Like, one thing, I get in a mood. I get in a mood whenever YouTube's copyright shenanigans crops up in conversations somewhere, and then people get really, really mad at YouTube for having such a broken system, which I get is, a reasonable first response to that because, it's the platform, so why not blame the platform? But the thing is that crap like that and, like, the ability to do the shady takedowns and the DMCA claims and the very lopsided system that's wildly in favor of, like, people who are making the claims. Like, the reason why that exists is because if YouTube wasn't doing that, they would be sued out of business. They would not exist. There's a kind of a large and complicated storyline that follows, like, how you get from, the beginning of YouTube to what it's like now. But it basically comes down to the fact that they were sued by Viacom, which is a big copyright holder. They hold a lot of copyright for a lot of things, and they were... It's kind of like when Mega Upload went down. It's not so much about the question of if there is pirated content on their servers or if there is pirated content on YouTube, because the answer to that question is yes. But the question is whether or not YouTube or Mega Upload are complicit in the piracy. And the way that either service is able to like prove that they're not complicit is to have ridiculously over the top and overboard methods for which policing the content can exist. YouTube obviously can't police every single piece of content. There's not enough people in the world to staff a department that's dedicated solely to doing that. So the systems have to be automated and they have to be kind of broad. And that's not mandated by law, though. It's not like the law says you have to do this kind of stuff. However, Viacom says that, okay, if you do these things, then we'll be okay with you. But if you don't, and if you back off on it and the systems don't work in this particular way, then we're going to sue you and we're going to win. Because as big as Google is, and Google is certainly very big, YouTube, as big as YouTube is, YouTube doesn't make money. YouTube, that's another big point, is that people are just being like, oh my god, Google's greedy, and they're greedy for money, and the way that they're advertising revenue and like all that kind of stuff. It's like they don't make money. They break even every year, which is impressive. And Hollywood makes a shit ton more money every year than YouTube does. So like Hollywood and other big copyright holders, like they have a tremendous hold on YouTube and what it does. So what this has to do with the Fine Brothers thing is that they were abusing that particular system, and people were getting mad about the system, and they were getting mad at YouTube. And you really shouldn't get mad at YouTube if that's the case. You should get mad at the law and the big copyright holders who are threatening to use the law to sue Google into oblivion if they don't do this bullshit. Because that's why this exists. It's not like YouTube wants to do this. It's because they have to. And the alternative is literally that they do not exist. So it's either this or nothing. Or, lobbying against the companies to change the laws so that that doesn't necessarily have to be a thing. But that's in the future. Anyway, other stuff about the Fine Brothers is that if you're unfamiliar with what they were trying to do, they attempted to trademark the word React and a bunch of other stuff, which... like, seems like a douchey move to do, kind of like when Sony tried to trademark Let's Play, or the King tried to trademark Candy and Saga as different words. And those are all dick moves, but the thing is that when you're trademarking stuff, you trademark a lot of things. And you try to, because you're gonna lose those things. Like they get thrown out all the time for being like, well, that's way too vague. And they're just kind of like, whatever. But then you get the smaller ones, which I don't remember what the other ones were that they were listing, but they were somewhat reasonable, I guess. The thing about the Fine Brothers stuff and the React stuff is that it's predominantly based on reacting to not original content, and in fact, from what I have noticed about YouTube is that like the prevailing most popular, most watched videos, most watched channels are all channels that center around unoriginal content. And not unoriginal in the sense like, oh boy, that's unoriginal. Unoriginal in the sense where they didn't make whatever it is that they're showing. Like video game channels of any kind. When you show those channels, you're showing the video game, which you do not own or copyright for. And there have been problems in the past where video game developers have gone around and like claimed videos and got monetization, or just straight up taking it down. In the case of being like a review or something, despite being fair use. But Doesn't really affect me though, because with the exception of like FL Studio itself, which there is very clear language for in terms of usage of monetization on YouTube and their terms of service, everything I do is original. So like I don't run into the typical YouTube problems that like people who are like make their livings playing games, you know, on YouTube do. That said, the Fine Brothers thing with the reacting whatever, they're trying to trademark like, you know, React, and then their particular properties of like specific show formats, like the React Kids React, or Kids React, Elders React, YouTubers React, and that kind of thing. Which, by the way, I'm easily entertained. So like a lot of people when they made the videos against the Fine Brothers, they pretty universally said, okay, well, reaction content is just stupid. And like it might not be, I don't know, but I'm very easily entertained, and I'm perfectly entertained by that kind of stuff, and I've always been pretty fine with it. And I particularly enjoyed the YouTubers React, because as a YouTuber, I liked looking at what the people they brought on would say about things, because they get little snippets of like, you know, what they did with the build of their channel and what they were like when they started out, how things have changed and things that they do. And you get like a nice little industry insider look into that kind of thing, and that's why I like that. That's why I like those. But the format is not that become the question. The idea that they're licensing their format, and the question became, okay, what's your format? And then they just very definitively did not answer the question about like what their format is in a very specific way. And that's why it's because it's kind of hard to nail down. And that ended up being their undoing, because the way that like it's very, the vaguer you make it, the more vague that you make it, the more vague you make it, the easier it is for you to abuse it in terms of ensuring other competition gets taken down. It's sort of why people are afraid of that. Even if they were never going to do that, they still could have, and that was the whole problem. I had a similar issue, although it was a little bit more cut and dry for me. While they're licensing something that's so vague that some people could just accidentally do it on their own, which is usually where things like copyright and trademark fall through, where they could come up with the idea on their own, like if it's like an obvious thing, then you can't trademark that, you can't copyright that. But there was an incident a couple like last year where it was brought to my attention that a Russian YouTuber was actually re-uploading my videos in their entirety, but replacing my speech with his in Russian. He was translating my videos for Russians. And that's actually like good in the sense that, yeah, I needed to have translations for people who don't understand English. Hell, I should even have translations into English for people who understand English, because oftentimes what I'm saying is not English. But I had to take that down, because, you know, they're still watching the videos, but they're not going to my channel, and it's my content, and I'm not making money off it. So, oh boy. But it brought up a point about how I've always needed translations, I've always needed subtitles or whatever, but they're hard to do, and they're kind of expensive. Now there's the YouTube Translate beta, where they actually have built into video uploading the ability to purchase a translation service through YouTube itself, where it links up with people who do translations, and they do translations, and then that's just pretty great. However, before that happened, my solution, I haven't done that yet, but I'm thinking about it. But before that, I had this idea in my mind about a way to license out my content, much like the React brothers were thinking of doing, to allow people to take the videos, make their own translations, and then upload them onto their own channels. I would get a cut of that, a pretty fucking big cut, like we're talking 75%, because you're using my video, and like your video wouldn't exist were it not for my content, which is not entirely the truth for the React stuff, because their idea of the React thing is where like they would be like, oh, it's Kids React, and so you take like the Kids React title screen, like react to whatever, and like they have all that there, and then you use that as your show, and you can call it that, and so people search for Kids React, they can find it, and you're part of that, and that's just kind of whatever. But the thing is about that is that you could have done that exact show precisely the same way without all of that, and they would still have said that it was their format, even if technically nothing about what is theirs was involved in that video. Not so much the case if you're just going to take a video of mine and put up a translation for it. That's fully my video and my content, hence the huge cut that's mine. So like the plan was that like if someone wants to make a translation of the video, pretty much, and the best part about that is that I really wouldn't have had to worry about quality control, because the people who did the best job, like, you know, would be the ones that survived. The people who did a good enough job translating it, that people understood what I was saying and actually got what they wanted out of the video, would be the ones that people would watch. And you know, if you're you know, if you speak Portuguese but not English, and people do Portuguese translations, there's like 10 or so people who do the translations. You go with the one that you like the best, and the ones that people like the best are the ones that float to the top. And the story for that. So like, that's why you can have more than one option for even just the same language. And people could also use this to kickstart their own YouTube channels, where they do this with having my content, and then they make their own videos, and then I don't license their own videos because they're their own videos. But so like that, and that would have been a lot safer than if I had contracted third-party people to make translations for my videos, because I don't know the language. I'm never gonna know if it's good enough. I have to take the word of other people that like, oh, this is good enough translation, especially for stuff like this, where like there just are not words for in most languages. It's going to be an issue. It's going to be an issue, and it's an issue that I will deal with eventually. But it's a bit of a long-term kind of thing. It's very low on my to-do list, let's put it that way, because I do have quite a bit of a list. Yeah, so that's pretty much that on that whole thing. Like I said, it's already kind of been resolved, so this is a bit late to that, but it did reveal a lot of very interesting things about the perception of YouTube, the perception of YouTube's copyright systems, the perception of what licensing means, what trademarking means, and just how little people who interact with YouTube have any idea how any of this shit works. And illuminating things I will not do ever. Whoa, hiccups. Okay. Anyway, I hope people who have asked for my thoughts on this found that to be illuminating. If you have any questions about this, please let me know. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And as usual, have a nice day.